with Beyonce. Sorry if that sounded weird. Anyways, we're gonna talk about stelliums and how the planets work. By sense of rulership and just the attributes of the planets, so we could get to know them. Okay. So if you've been following me, I want you to on TikTok or whatever the case may be, you know that Beyonce is a Libra rising. I'm gonna use her whole sign system just so we could get real neat and cute. She's a Libra rising, which means she's ruled by Venus. First thing you always want to check is the ruler of the rising. Always, when you enter a chart, check out where it starts, which would be Venus, and Venus sits in her first house. And then you also want to check what else Venus rules. So for instance, Venus would also rule her 8th house of other people's money. The money from her partner, so like Jay-Z, okay, and transformation, crisis, okay. Anyways, this also talks about the psychology of the person, okay, and also her secrets, things that she wants to keep hiding from the public, and it's hard for a celebrity to do that, because people are crazy. So anyways, that's the first thing you want to check. You want to check out where the ruler of the rising. We're really going to focus on the stellium so you can see how the process of like deciphering the stellium, just knowing that. So first of all, she's very Venusian. Obviously, we know her for her very infamous relationship with rapper Jay-Z. Somewhere in here, they got to have a picture of him. Hello? I don't know. But she does have a lot of, okay, no picture with Jay-Z. Damn, that's interesting. You would have thought, right? With all these years, and she's always with him. Maybe it's in there and I just didn't go through the scrolling. But yes, we know her for her relationship. One thing, she's married to rapper Jay-Z. We know her for that for a long time. She's also talks about a lot of empowerment, women empowerment. Most of her songs are dedicated to women, which is very where her money comes from, literally. Okay. So what else happens? If you notice, she has a Jupiter, okay, right next to Venus. So right next to her Venus is Jupiter. Great. What's Jupiter? You want to slow down. Jupiter is expansion. It gives the person guru energy, a wise, a mentor, a coach, okay, somebody of the noble classes, high status, off rip when you see that, okay. Most planets, always from where they're sitting, they oppose the other house. So they will always be opposing wherever they sit, the opposite house. So for instance, her Venus is opposing Jupiter, and so is Jupiter. Excuse me. Her Venus and Jupiter are opposing the 7th house off rip. So she gets a social status from being in a relationship, from everyone who meets her. Okay, so everyone 7th house that gets an interaction with her will feel this 7th house stellium, which is why people be like, oh my gosh, she's like a freaking mystical being. This is that. You ever seen people that walk into a room and give off those big, powerful energies? Is they usually have stelliums in the 1st house. And if you've ever heard me here before, the 1st house, the 5th house, and the 9th house are always houses that you want to check also right away. So step 1, we check the ruler of the rising. And step 2, you also want to check what else they got that benefits them, which is, for instance, the 5th house. She has nothing in the 5th house, but is ruled by a Saturn, right? Because Aquarius is ruled by Uranus and Saturn. Traditional Saturn, Uranus is for modern astrology, tropical astrology. And if you look, Saturn, again, goes back into her 5th. Okay, so this lifetime, what that tells me is, her last lifetime, she was famous. That's why everybody can remember her, feels her aura. So she's always famous. She's 12th house. The last life is the 12th house. The hour before she was born is the 12th house. Okay? So that means that her mom must have an interesting story. Literally the hour before she was born must be interesting. Maybe she was with her friends, or the mom was at an event with the dad, or maybe outside. I'm not too sure. We can Google it to see maybe they got it. But whatever. Okay? But this lifetime, because the stellium sits in the 1st house, this person is going to try to conquer these things quickly, right away, like an Aries. I need to persevere and get this, okay? Now, Saturn, again, so we got Jupiter, right? So from here, yes, Venus rules the 8th house. It comes so we bring the 8th house energy into the 1st, okay? Jupiter rules her 3rd house, okay? And her 6th house. So what's the 3rd and 6th house? Again, you want to go into your chi-chi if you don't know. I'm bypassing it so I can let you know. It's something with the siblings. Okay, what else? The 6th house, again, is work. If I show you, so siblings, communication, self-expression, even is like when you start talking to the world, and then mind you, work is her work environment. Okay, so what do we know about that? So first of all, Beyonce was in a group, and it was a group with one of her cousins. Technically, this cousins is the 6th house. That, and I think like people that she is in a neighborhood, church, or something familiar to her, right? So that's the 1st house. That was the group that she was in. And it was something creative. Again, I think it started out as a church, honestly, if I'm not mistaken. And it became her daily routine. She had to keep practicing. Remember, Beyonce's been singing since she was a kid. For those that did not know that, you can like Google it. I'm pretty sure. Pretty fucking sure. Anyway, somebody out there that wants to, we could Google it. Young Beyonce. Okay, see, she has some shit going on. I don't know. Something. You get it. Somebody get it. You get it. Anyway, if you saw the documentary, obviously I didn't. I'm just going based on the chart so we could kill some time, okay? Now, the degrees gives you details. So if you want to go backtrack, for instance, her ascending. I don't like to use the degrees on celebrities because we may not have the correct time. Again, CIA, another. Anyways, so I don't want to use that as the example of, but if you want to, you do want to check out those degrees. Let's say if Beyonce's time is correct, 20 degrees is Scorpio degree. You want to go back to the house that this degree takes you in. So, and in this case, Beyonce, she has a Scorpio rising degree, which is the 2nd house of money, face, family. And literally, she's worked with her family. Her dad was her manager for many years. Her mom created designs for her. Mars. Well, we'll get into that. Anyways, but we're still trying to break this down. But that was one of the things you also want to do, incorporate the degrees. It gives you more details, obviously. So, Pluto's there also. This is the 4th degree, which is her ancestor. Interesting. I wonder how Beyonce's gonna die. Sorry, I know that got really morbid, but it also makes sense why the 8th house rulers are the first, because if Beyonce ever dies, that's gonna be very detrimental. It's gonna be very shock worthy, which makes sense. But anyways, Saturn is the ruler of the 4th. Again, we got Saturn is, people fear Saturn, but think about it. Saturn is in the 1st house. Beyonce is not ugly, okay? She has a man, okay? People do respect her. Saturn, which is honorable as well. She works very hard. Saturn rules hardworking people. And she's one of the hardest working people in the industry. That's a fact, because she really does her own stunts, dances, and all that. Again, she started out with her family, the home, the mother, and the father really guided this industry or this thing for her. Okay. Sorry about that, y'all. So, and Saturn, again, the 4th house and the 5th house. The 5th house is lovers and children. So we've kind of seen her performing. 5th house is performing. She's naturalist. She's known all over the world for this. 9 degrees, Sagittarius. Okay. She has a 29 degrees with the Neptune. That makes sense. She's recorded all the time. Sorry, I just stopped there and saw that because I wanted to. Sagittarius is 9 degrees is a Sagittarius degree. So I checked her 3rd house. She is recorded. Her song, her name. 3rd house rules the name. Beyonce has the coolest name in the world. Well, one of the coolest names in the world. She has Fortune in there. Her name is like powerful. People want it. Even her last name knows 2 degrees. You see how that 2 degrees come in is a very powerful degree. See how that works out? Okay. And then her sun is an Aquarius degree, which highlights her 5th house. She's one of the world's best performers, right? Okay. So that's how you want to start dissecting these little one by one. So then we have Mercury. Mercury is the 9th house, which is her father. Again, her last name, known over the world, her status, title, right in the front. We see it. Once we see Beyonce, you know who the fuck she is, right? Her dad, again, Mercury also rules the 12th house, which is the creative side. Maybe she is introverted. We kind of see that about her. We do see her failures. Okay, so this is the reason why the ruler of her 11th house of gains goes into the 12th house. When she does other business other than her performance that we already know her for, she kind of fails at them. Except maybe this hair thing. She is hitting the hair thing now, which would be this Mars and Leo, her back, So I just want to bring that up, okay? So that's how you would break down a stellium. Now, again, you could go aspect. Now, let me show you we can Google these aspects so you can see them. First of all, if you ever want to look for aspect, look at the aspect table. It goes to list of aspects. Excuse me. You obviously see this. You can literally Google one of these one by one. I start off with 0, make my way to the 5th or the 6th or up, whatever. The zeros are felt first. So, for instance, let's grab a whole side of her, So, for instance, Jupiter. Let's see. For instance, her most strongest orb would be Mercury sextile Mars. So if we go to Mercury sextile Mars, and I like to use handy dandy Astrology King. I probably said that really weird. Okay, sextile. Okay, Mars. All right. Okay, so it's going to come up. It's going to give you the natal one. Okay, is this yes, it is. So it gives you a very sharp mind, tongue, and fighting spirit, which, she has to be. She has to persevere through all the shit that they talk about her and stuff like that. You're intelligent, your quick reflexes, both mentality, physically, that's a fact. She actually, you ever seen her, how she loses weight? How she, what is it? Fast, she be fasting. She works hard, okay, to make you a formidable opponent in your competitive field. So that's why it's hard to beat her. It's hard to beat her. She has a Mars and Leo. It's sextile Mercury. She's very sharp. You get her one side, she's going to grab you in another. Mind you, this is an important aspect, and then the reason why why is it an important aspect, okay, is because it's the ruler of her sun. Okay, so for instance, let's go back to another level. So the sun is not in Leo. The sun is always exalted in Aries, which means you know who you are, and then in Leo you express who you are. Okay, you're excited. So the sun to me is like the fun or exaggerated version of the sign, to be quite honest, if you ask me. Okay, and for instance, her sun is in Virgo. She's an exaggerated version of the sign. That's why some people be like, "Oh, Beyonce's overrated. She's not perfect." She kind of does give off that perfect vibe. You know what I mean? But her sun is Mercury ruled. So you would want to see what's happening to her Mercury to understand her career. So technically, if we go back to that aspect list, right? Mercury is only an aspect with Mars. You can also check these out. Anything else comes up, there is a 3, but I want to stick to the 0, especially with these stronger the orb, the more is seen or felt. So Mercury in sextile Mars, which is funny because men has contribute to her career. And again, and why do I say men? Because in her chart, because she's a Libra rising, Mars rules her 7th house, the people she's partnered up with, business with. Her dad is a man, duh. And so is her husband, Jay-Z. I don't know why I'm saying it like that. And then look, Mars is also the ruler of this moon in Scorpio, who's already in Uranus, that could join Uranus, which is the group of women that she was in front of or with. Okay, so yeah. I just want you to see why, especially from strong men. Look, a strong work ethic initiative will earn you respect, especially from strong men. You are very active, must be busy, value, and productive work, although you can be very direct and sometimes can even forceful. You enjoy socializing. Others will appreciate your stimulating company. A certain amount of tact, charisma come with this aspect, but your honest and cutting remarks may sometimes offend. The truth does hurt sometimes, and sometimes has to say it. So honestly, I do think she's rude. Hello? That's a fact. Um, yeah, that's the tea. That is what I wanted to tell you about that. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. So even with this, so this is one of her career, the luminary. In this case, the other luminaries, which is the moon, her emotional habits, what happens at home. You can kind of read it from what's going on. What's the moon aspecting? Or if the moon is ruled by another sign, for instance, let's say you have a moon in Cancer, you want to look at the moon aspect. But for instance, your moon is in another sign like Scorpio. Like, for instance, you check out what Mars is doing. So I would go back to that chart and I would go check out what aspect is that planet doing. So for instance, Mars in particularly is trining Uranus. So let's look that up real quick. How does that play out? Okay, let's see. Okay, thank you all for watching. If you're listening to this, I'm glad you're out there, trying to learn. Wait, what? I think it's supposed to be a square. Let's make sure. It's saying trine Uranus, though, and it's a separating aspect. Because really, Mars is in Leo, and Uranus is in Scorpio. That would be a square. So that means whenever her Mars progressed forward, she would feel the square. That's important to know. Because she did break up with the group, remember? And she went on her own. Beyonce. Hello. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm being a dickhead. NATO gives you a strong desire for independence. That's where she wanted to be break free. You need the freedom to act on your own instinct and go on your own direction without restraint. Your instincts are powerful and usually correct. When young, however, rash actions may leave you vulnerable to criticism, but daring and direct approach usually does not cause significant upsets in life. So we can also take a look at what the square would feel like. So we're going to square and get it right. And we go there. Okay. It gives an abundant, creative, and inventive energy, which can lead to a brilliant achievement, which makes sense. When she broke up with them, then her life, she became a rebel, and she went through and it worked for her. Not only because she has Saturn and Jupiter, so her luck is fine. That's another thing. You want to check out how harsh are Saturn's lesson, which would be the aspects to Saturn, I hope that makes sense. Anyways, I'm going to leave it here just to keep it nice and short and sweet, and I'm able to post it. See you guys later.